Hey everyone, welcome back to another Explainer. Today we're diving into a seriously fascinating technical note from the Takasugi Research Institute. We're going to unpack a 2,500-year-old historical mystery. So, have you been feeling just incredibly overwhelmed lately? Well, I'm here to tell you it's not just a modern problem, and honestly, it's actually not your fault. Okay, let's just dive right into this.
Have you ever felt like you don't even really know what you want to do anymore, but you're absolutely crushed by a million things you feel like you must do? If you are nodding your head right now, totally feeling that burnout, listen, you are not alone, not by a long shot. This is the central mystery we are going to solve today.
So here's the core conflict. On one side, we've got what I want to do. These are our true feelings, our innate direction in life. And then on the other side, we have what I must do, which is all about obligation and evaluation. Over the centuries, these two concepts have become so deeply entangled. But what if I told you that this entanglement is actually a massive historical design flaw?
Section 1. The first mutation, Genesis.
To find patient zero of this psychological bug, we actually need to wind the clock way back to Genesis. We're going to track how this conflation of want and must acted almost like a viral bug, just mutating across different eras. It starts with self-judgment, mutates into mental and social rules in the 18th and 19th centuries, becomes this huge existential burden in the 20th, and finally arrives at our modern era of AI and KPIs. So let's look at that very first mutation.
Think about the story of Adam and Eve. At first, they had a really simple, pure desire. They just wanted to know. But the moment they ate from that tree, something unprecedented happened. Before this, God's rule was literally the only rule. But suddenly, they looked at themselves and felt shame. They were thinking, wait, are we naked? Are we wrong? Their simple want catastrophically merged with self-evaluation. This right here was the very first time the bug appeared. The pure desire to know instantly became the heavy burden to judge oneself.
Section 2. When desires became obligations.
Jumping forward to the 18th and 19th centuries, we see how some incredibly famous philosophers accidentally weaponized our own minds against us. Enter the German philosopher Immanuel Kant. Now, Kant had this really noble and credible idea. He said humans don't need kings or divine mandates to know right from wrong. Our own rational minds can make the rules. But here is where the mutation got worse. The human desire, saying, I want to be rational, mutated into a strict, unyielding obligation. It became, I must be rational. Our own intellect basically became our strict taskmaster.
And then came Hegel. He took Kant's internal mental rules and kind of upgraded them. Hegel said that these obligations aren't just floating around in our heads, they are the literal rules of society and the state. So, our personal desire for freedom turned into rigid, inescapable civic duties. The feeling of, I want to be free, mutated into, I must obey the law to be a good citizen. Boom, your internal desire was now officially a societal obligation.
Section 3. The heavy price of freedom. Moving right along into the 19th and 20th centuries, existentialist philosophers started realizing this whole psychological setup was making absolutely everyone miserable. The crucial point here is perfectly captured by Kierkegaard and Heidegger. Kierkegaard pointed out a really tragic flaw. He realized you can be a good person, follow all the rules, do literally everything you must do, and still feel completely empty and in despair. Doing the right thing just doesn't fulfill your wants. And Heidegger, he went even deeper. He suggested we actually cling to these must-dos just to escape our deep, terrifying anxiety about existence itself. We hide behind the rules because, honestly, true freedom is terrifying.
And that brings us to Jean-Paul Sartre's rather terrifying conclusion. He realized that without a pre-written destiny, we are completely free to choose our own path. But ironically, that ultimate freedom becomes a crushing obligation. You must choose, and you are entirely responsible for the choice you make. So freedom itself became the absolute heaviest must of all.
Then, Friedrich Nietzsche basically kicked the door down. He was the radical who tried to just smash the whole system. Nietzsche argued that all these historical obligations and moral rules were, well, basically a scam. He said they were designed to crush our natural, vibrant, creative vitality, our truest wants. He was telling everyone we need to reclaim our vibrant life. But, yeah, he didn't exactly leave us an instruction manual on how to actually do that.
Section 4. Internal cops and AI judges.
So here is the really dark twist in our historical detective story. Even after Nietzsche exposed the lie, we still couldn't break free. Why are we all still paralyzed by guilt? Well, Sigmund Freud gave us the answer, the superego. Even if society isn't watching you, even if your parents aren't in the room, their voices have already been installed in your brain. The must-dos mutated into this inescapable automated surveillance device right inside our own heads. It's like an internal police officer that is constantly monitoring and judging your wants. You are basically policing yourself, automatically.
Now let's bring this mystery right into the present day. We've gone from the internal cop to external machines. Today, our must-dos are dictated by automated systems. Just think about it. Your worth is measured by school test scores, your social standing by social media likes, your career by corporate KPIs, and what about your choices? AI recommendation algorithms are quite literally doing the choosing for you.
And this is probably the most alarming reality of all. Today, before you can even sit down and ask yourself, hey, what do I actually want? The machine has already evaluated you. It's already told you what you must do, what you should buy, and what your next goal has to be. AI and KPIs have completely overridden our internal compass. The bug has essentially taken full control of the operating system.
Section 5. Fixing the design flaw.
Okay, but don't despair, we're pivoting to a truly empowering solution now. First, let's just synthesize all this philosophical chaos. History maps out exactly how we've been trapped. Some philosophers showed how want is entirely replaced by must. Others showed how we are completely torn apart by having both. Heidegger showed we escape into must, and Nietzsche exposed the whole trap. But seeing all of this proves one absolutely vital thing. Your modern burnout is a systemic error. It is not a personal failing.
I really want to let this sink in. This overwhelming sense of obligation you carry around every single day, it's not your destiny. It is a 2,500-year-old design flaw. And just like any design flaw in a system, once you actually identify it, it can finally be patched.
The UT 1.0 framework. This brings us to the ultimate solution, the UT 1.0 framework, which was designed specifically to fix this massive historical glitch. Now, the framework relies on 3 surprisingly simple, actionable steps. Step 1, find the want by temporarily ignoring all your obligations, like what is your pure direction. Step 2, confirm the must. You have to be clinical about this. Identify exactly who or what system is evaluating you. And step 3, keep them strictly separated. You need to uncouple your genuine desires from your external evaluations. They are both real, for sure, but they absolutely do not belong in the same bucket.
Let's look at a highly relatable example just to ground this. Think of the phrase, I must do my homework, right? That is an evaluation. It is a requirement from an external system. On the other side, I want to read manga. Now that is a pure direction. It's an innate desire. The UT 1.0 framework says, hey, it is perfectly fine to have both of these feelings. The suffering only begins when you let them bleed into one another. When you start feeling guilty for wanting to read manga or getting resentful about the homework, you've got to stop mixing them.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If you stripped away every single metric, every expectation, every KPI, every should and must that 2,500 years of history has programmed into your head, what is it that you truly want to do today? Rediscover that pure direction. Uncouple it from the evaluation. That is how you break the bug. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.